everybody. Welcome into my Watch Me Wednesday. Just coming off of a online retreat this weekend, which was a lot of fun. We had about a couple hundred people doing the retreat from home, which was really fun. Hey, Kristen, how are you? Has your little birdie friend come and visited you today? Hey, Kyra, how are you? So I did an online retreat this weekend, and it was a lot of fun, a little challenging for me to do because I had to have everything right within my grasp. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun seeing some people that I talked to online but have never seen in person, so that's kind of cool. And it was neat to teach a little project that I hope that people learned a new technique and added a few things to their quilty tool bag, I should say. Anyway, today I have, it's funny because I had a difficult time thinking of what I would do today for Watch Me Wednesday because I really haven't gotten into my sewing room to sew because I'm not real mobile yet, so I can't walk back and forth to my design wall, and there's a little bit of an obstacle, which you can't see from here, to get around on my little scooter thing. So I haven't been doing a whole lot of sewing, but so today I thought that we would do something that was a little bit easier for me to prep for, and I thought we'd talk a little bit about thread, because I know a lot of you think about thread often when you're piecing or quilting, and you wonder what colors to use, what weight to use. And there's my son. He bought me my first Chick-fil-A today. He asked me if I would eat it, and I said I would, promised, and it was good. So, yeah, I've never had one before. I know probably many of you have had Chick-fil-A. I haven't, but I did today. Anyway, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking thread. This is one of my little thread baskets. So I have my mini spools of thread in here. So a lot of you may know that I am an aurifil ambassador and designer for aurifil. So yeah, that's my thread of choice. However, that's not to say that I don't use different threads for different things. So I want to talk a little bit first about weights of thread. First of all, and actually I'm going to pull one out of the drawer, or maybe not. Is that it? That's not the color I want. This is the color I want. So I use a 50 weight thread for piecing, and if any of you have ever taken my classes, you'll know that I use this particular color, which is 2600. I don't know if you can all see that. There's a little bit of a glare, but it's 2600 aurifil. The orange cones are 50 weight thread, the orange cones. So that's my favorite piecing thread to use. Try to use a neutral, so if I don't use that, this is the one that I use. It's not a gray, it's 2000, which is a 50 weight thread as well. Those, I believe, are both in this box. Yep. So this is a necessities box that I actually sell on my website, and I have a link above for you, but these are colors that aurifil recommends that you have in your toolbox, and you can see the colors under below here, two of them which I use for piecing. So 2600 and 2000 are both in this box, and they're great threads to use when you're thinking of piecing. Now, of course, there is a black in there, which is awesome because if you're doing a primarily black quilt, you don't necessarily want to use a lighter thread like this because sometimes you might see those pokies go through and you might have to take a black Pigma pen to dot them. So change it out to a black thread. And the same kind of goes with the white. So there's white in there as well to use for your piecing. 50 weight thread gives you a nice 1/4 inch seam. So I always highly recommend using 50 weight thread. Now there are other weights of thread to use. This one in the red here is the 12 weight, and I'm actually gonna pull that. You can see how thick it is. It's much thicker. So if you're not familiar with how weights of threads go, And actually, I should probably put that against the white here so you can see. So you can see there the white, or the red thread against the white. So the weights of thread, the higher the number, the thinner the thread. The lower the number, the thicker the thread. Easiest way to understand that. Now, aurifil does color-coded cones. This is a red cone. So that one is, like I said, this is the 12-weight thread. Okay, the red cone. Then they have the green cone. Let me get the green cone out. The green cones are 40-weight thread. Okay, so those are 40 weight. They also have, let's see. So I said the orange, and by the way, if you do the smaller spools, it's the same system. So the orange thread is a 50 weight. Let's see, here's a red thread, and you can, I think you can kind of see the difference in the thickness just by holding them up. So the red thread, which is the 12 weight, is much thicker than the 50 weight thread. The again, in the smaller cones, there's the green, the 40 weight. And they have a gray, which is, this one is the 28 weight. I actually have a 28 weight here. The gray cone is a 28 weight. So the same color system for the smaller spools as well. They also have, if you are into embroidery, which are hand embroidery, you can get the wooden spools, and that's embroidery thread. It is 6 strand too, which is awesome. So those are typically on the wooden spools. However, they do have an 80 weight. I believe this one's the 80 weight. Yep, this is 80 weight. 80 weight, which is also on a wooden spool, but the 80 weight is a super, super fine thread. So remember, I said the higher the number, the thinner the thread. You can barely see it on that on the white box. It's a much, much thinner thread. So the 80 weight is super thin. Now, the thinnest thread that you can get on the market that I know of is 100 weight, and that's a silk thread. So silk thread comes in at 100 weight. Now, aurifil doesn't make 100 weight yet, but the 80 weight is perfect. So if you applique, use the aurifil 80 weight, which is perfect for it, or you could go to a silk thread. Now, I have many different colors of silk thread, different manufacturers. Now, the difference when you're quilting, so a lot of people ask, well, what do you quilt with? I piece with 50 weight. Quilting is a much more broader spectrum, I think, because you need to quilt with a thread that you are comfortable with. It depends on what you want to see in your quilt. If you want to see the thread, yeah, you might want to go with a thicker thread, okay? And you might want to see that. And yeah, the machines will take a thicker thread. You just have to adjust you might have to adjust the tension. Obviously, the needle will need to be adjusted. But if you want to see the thread, go with a thicker weight thread. You can go with just a 40 weight, which would be the green cone. You can go with a 40 weight. It's a little bit thicker than the 50 weight. Oftentimes, I vacillate usually with my quilting between a 40 and a 50 weight. I have quilted with silk thread, which is 100 weight as well. And I've done it on the long arm. And that is mainly, you will quilt with that. If you want that thread to go ahead and blend in with your quilt, it'll sink right in, get a matching color, and you just kind of want to see that texture. It's a great way to get texture, but not have that thread per se be visible. Now, I'm going to explain a couple other things too. Typically, now you can do your embroidery. I have 2 embroidery machines, and I've used cotton thread to embroider, the aurifil cotton thread, and I mainly use, not that I don't use the cotton thread, but I mainly use the polyester, the Robinson Anton or the Isacord, and it's a polyester thread, and they're typically, this one doesn't have the weight on it. I think these are 40 weight, but I typically use these for the embroidery. I like, there's a sheen to them that I like. I have several, I have done the embroidery with the cotton, and it gives it a whole different kind of feel, and it looks so pretty. I recently did a couple quilt labels with the aurifil cotton. It looks really pretty. Different feel. So really depends on that look that you're going for. So keep that in mind. Now you also, which I think is super cool, you also have the ability with your threads to have a variegated thread. Okay? Now variegated is simply that. It varies in color. So this one varies in different tones of turquoise to white and back to turquoise. So it goes from darker to lighter to white and back to darker. So the variegated will give a different look. It'll give a different look if you're quilting a quilt and even if you're embroidering. The effect on embroidery is super powerful, really fun. So you can get, I mean, aurifil has a ton of different variegateds. You can get, and if you really don't want a cotton thread and you want a rayon, there's variegated rayon as well. So those are a couple things as far as the solid versus the variegated. But again, sometimes it's a matter of what you are looking for. Now, I want to show you, so I told you I'm a designer for aurifil, so I wanted to show you a couple of the boxes. I have a bunch of aurifil boxes out there, and I have the link to these on my website. So this one, when I do a collection, I'm looking to complement my fabric collection. So this one I curated for my Ancient Etchings fabric collection, and so they were really brights, and I wanted to do a nice bright collection. So those, oops, like candy box. And I did, this one actually has a mixture, if you see, 40 weight in the green cones and then 50 weights in the orange cones. So I have a mix of threads in this particular box, which is kind of cool because then you can pick and choose what you want, and which is really cool. Do use RA 40 weight rayon for all your machine embroidery. I feel that it covers better than the poly. So I don't, well, okay, so Betsy. So I don't use all Robeson Antons because I do have some of the Isacord. So it really depends on what's available in the stores. And I typically will look for color because I want a specific color. And I'm not sure what kind of machine you have. I haven't had any problems in the machines that I have as far as coverage. Sometimes it's just a matter of slowing the machine down as it's embroidering, and I get a really good coverage. One of the other collections that I did was with my Fresh Catch, and again, I tried to coordinate, but here I also did some variegateds too. This is an all 50 weight, so if you're looking for autumnal tones, I did this. Oh, I'm glad you're doing the retreat from home, Nancy. That you have. Because they look like, let's see, what does she say? They look like what? They look smaller on your website. That's a great deal on your website for the sizes you get. It is a great deal, absolutely. So these are the big cones. So if you're looking at, like here, the smaller ones, you're getting a lot more thread on these cones than you are on these cones. And I do have a couple small collections too. But these are the autumnal tones, and I did do a couple variegateds in here as well. These are not all my collections, but I just wanted to show you what can do in the box. So here's my Blue Moon. And of course I'm missing one there. These are all 50 weight. And then I did this one. I've used quite a few from out of here. They're missing my Splash of Color from my book. And then I also did an embroidery collection when I launched my Feline Fine. So those are the embroidery colors. But that's a little bit, just a little snippet of sizes and colors and what you can do with your threads and how you use them. There's so much more to go over on those that I feel that Watch Me Wednesday definitely isn't going to cover everything. So if you have questions, put them in the comments. I will try and answer them for you. If you want me to do another one, I did do a Watch Me Wednesday a while back. You can go look in the video archives, and I actually showed you, I had stitched out different weights of threads with different decorative stitches. And maybe I'll post that link so it'll be easier for you to navigate to. Anyway, share the video if you think others will enjoy it, and I can't wait to see you